Welcome to Let's Talk Success. This is Desiree Dubois, founder of An Empowered Woman and producer of Let's Talk Success. And I have the pleasure of meeting with Mashell, Carissimi, who is the founder of JMC Electrical Contractors, LLC. We have the pleasure of being here in Orlando, Florida with the Enterprising Women. She's been one of the nominees and she won. So tell us what that's about.
Enterprising Women is an honor for me. Last year I was just an honoree, and this year I'm actually a winner, and I'm very excited about that. They honor women who, thank you. They honor women in all different industries who have done some wonderful things, and I'm very proud to be one of them.
Great, so tell us about your business. So tell us about your story. How did you get started?
Well, I'm a mother of 3 and stepmother of 2, and I've always worked. I've been in corporate world as an accountant for most of my life, and in 2009 my husband was working as a master electrician for an electrical contractor who was falling upon hard times. So my husband hadn't been paid anything in about 7 weeks, and things were really rough, and all of his friends and my friends who were electricians weren't getting paid either. And one day I just made an offhand comment to my husband, and I said, I think I could run a business better than that. And he says, you're probably right. Why don't you give it a try? So that's what I did. I went and took a contractor's test in a room with about 20 men. And I was the first one done, but I was not going to get up because I was a little bit worried they might think that I didn't know what I was doing. So I waited a little bit, and when I handed in the test, I found out a couple of weeks later that I passed it with flying colors. So went down into my basement and started my company.
Wow, how long ago was that?
That was in June of 2010. We started the company.
Not long ago.
No, it'll be 5 years this June.
So what has transpired since?
Well, we started out in my basement. We had very little money. I closed out a 401k, which had about $14,000 in it. I borrowed $20,000 from my husband, which I was able to pay back in about a year and a half. We moved from the basement with just him and I as the employees, and we hired a couple of other people. We purchased a van. We moved to a friend's building and shared it with him for a little while. Then about 2 years, a little over 2 years ago, we were able to lease our own building because we were growing and running out of room. And so just this past year, in February I think it was, we were able to purchase our own building. We got us a nice 14,000 square foot building, and now we're ready to take on the state of Michigan to start with.
That's amazing. And another thing to keep in mind is that you are working with your husband.
Yes.
So how was that?
It was a little rough at first, we hadn't ever really totally worked together. We've done some things together, but it was a little difficult trying to find our exact places and who was to do what. But it didn't take too long, and so he pretty much manages most of the guys out in the field, and I run the whole office and work out in the field with him when I can. So we've kind of found our own little niche, and it works out well.
So what type of clients? What's your primary clients?
We do electrical services for commercial, industrial, and institutional. We do a lot of work for casinos and hospitals. Most of it right now is renovations and retrofits, but we can also do brand new builds. So it's mostly large things. We're a union contractors, so it's very difficult to try to bid against some of those people who aren't, because they pay much lower wages than we do.
And who gets most of those contracts? Was that you, or was that someone? Did you hire a team to be able to get that business for you?
Well, we have a couple of estimators who work on bids. It's basically a bid process. So whoever is the lowest bid, 9/10 out of 10 will get the job. You still do have to go in and qualify for it, and it does help sometimes that I'm a WBE, woman-owned business. So that's been good.
Can you explain that a little bit? Because one of our other young ladies was talking about that. I think some of the ladies don't even know what that qualification or that clarification is.
Okay, it's a certification that we were able to get through WBENC, and what it certifies is that the business is at least 51% owned by a woman, and that she actually does run her company. It's not where the husband just puts you in charge as a name only. You actually have to show that you run your company. And in my case, my business is 100% owned by me. And I do run my company, that's for sure. But it does come in handy sometimes for government work, or if you have a company that's looking for diversity. And so that helps sometimes.
Great, thank you. So along that way, in a short 5 years, you must have run across some challenges.
There's been a couple. It's, being in construction, it's not typical for a woman to be in construction. But I'm finding there are many women in construction in a lot of different areas and doing a lot of different jobs. And I think the very most difficult thing that I had was that we joined a group called the National Electrical Contractors Association. And when I joined that group, I was one of maybe 2 women who were actually in it. Most of the people in the group were older gentlemen who weren't used to seeing females around. And it was a little difficult at first, but I have to say that they've been really great lately. And things are starting to get better. We have some women who are in the industry now who are making waves, and I'm hoping I'm one of them.
Absolutely.
So it's getting better for women. It's a long way to go, but hopefully it'll be good soon.
So that's your business challenge. What about some of your personal challenges and just that juggling act, the children, the husband, the business, everything?
I'm lucky in that most of my children are older now. My youngest now just turned 22. But I do have grandchildren. I have a couple of granddaughters that one of them is, she's bound and determined that she'll be moving in with me soon. She has her own bedroom. And so it is a juggling act, especially when, in order to get our name out there, I've joined several groups. National Association of Women in Construction, National Association of Women Business Owners, the National Electrical Contractors Association, and I've been very active in those groups to promote women. And so there are times when there's just 100 things going at once, but I try to sit back and take a deep breath and remember what it is I'm trying to do and what I want to accomplish, and just reorganize my thinking and my what I have to do that day, and just keep attacking it and keep going.
So in your business, combining with the male industry, dealing with male, a lot of probably your employees and so forth, what is still one of the biggest challenges that you still encounter?
In some respects, it's still access to money for a woman, access to funding. It seems that sometimes men just have the ability to go in there and say, this is what I want to, give it to me, and if they can show that it's worth giving it to them, they don't have to do some of the things that I have to do and prove myself and prove my company over and over again. We just got a large job that we weren't expecting to get, other than the fact that we just had to keep proving that we would be able to do this, and that I could run this and get it going. And so it's just still that aspect that as a female in the construction world, it's harder to get the funds, and it's sometimes a little harder to get the jobs. But you have to keep proving yourself, and then it opens up.
So you've come a long way, but we still have a ways to go.
Oh, always, always, yes.
So victories.
Yes.
Victories, like what are some of those moments like,
I think one of my big victories was when the National Electrical Contractors Association actually asked me to get up and be one of the speakers at one of their big events, which was, wow, I'm up here with all these guys and I get to be the lone female woman, And it was amazing, because I guess it must have made an impression, because some of the young contractors who were male were like, oh, she's just a badass woman and we want to meet her.
yes.
So that was a cool moment for me. And winning this award has been an awesome thing for me too. It just validates the hard work that you put in.
And I'm still being able to purchase your own building.
Oh, that was, that was a little scary. It's a lot of money. But it'll give us an opportunity to continue to grow, so it was worthwhile.
So you told us, kind of gave us an idea what you started with. Where do you see the value of your business now in sort of 5 years?
Well, our first year, I think we did probably about $10,000 in sales. We got a good contract in February of the second year. But this past year, in 2014, we actually did over $6 million in sales. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, and I gave my husband his marching orders. I told him we got to do at least 8 to 12 this year.
There you go. That's that badass woman that you're talking about.
Exactly.
That's what they were talking about. That's huge. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, like, at the end of the day, what do you think? Like, what do you, like, this is your life. Does it seem surreal, or does it seem like, is this...
Surreal is a perfect word. My husband and I both sit back sometimes and say, this is so surreal. I was an accountant for other people for a long time, and so I was doing the books for people who were making 20, 30, 40 $million, and so that to me was a lot of money. And then now I'm looking at $6 million, and I'm like, oh my God, that's mine. And somebody did tell me though, remember, it's just zeros. It's just zeros. So I need to add a few more.
Why not?
Why not?
What do you think though in business that you did to make that, to cause that kind of growth? Was it a contract? Was it a new employee? Was it a new, remodeling or branding? Like, what do you think was the caterpillar for that?
Well, there's a couple of things that I did that hadn't been done in the industry before. One of them was I put together a media kit. I've won a couple of awards, and we got some references from some of the jobs that we've done. And I did my own brochure, and a lot of the stuff we had to do on our own when we got started. So I put together a media kit, and I actually sent it out with a letter introducing ourselves and what we can do to every general contractor I could find. Everyone in the area, everyone in all of the trade magazines, anything I could find, I sent it out. And that got us a lot of response. I was surprised. My husband was like, oh, I've been in this business 30 years. We've never done that. That's not going to work. But it worked.
And that got you a lot of recognition, and got you the sales that you...
And then, and then I think joining all of these groups that I did, and getting myself out there, going to diversity fairs, putting myself out in the front where I didn't think I'd ever be or ever wanted to be, but needed to be in order to keep the company growing.
So a lot of those relationships, people knowing you, getting to see you, like and trust you, just kind of really building on those relationships.
That's true. That's true.
And
This past job, this big job that I just got, that we've been working on for over a year, was because of the relationships I've made through different groups and things I've been through.
I like to stress that because we have a women's organization, and I can't stress to them how valuable the networking is. I mean, regardless of what anything else is said, networking takes one contact, one new relationship that could open up the whole world for you.
And that is so true. That is very true. I've met some incredible businesswomen in some of the different networking events I've been to, and through some of the groups I've joined. I've also, when I was little, I wanted to be a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher. But I just didn't like children. Even though I raised 5 of them, right? So what's been incredible for me is in 2 of the groups, part of their mission is to train young girls, to train them to realize that they have much strengths and abilities that they need to utilize, and that they can become business owners themselves. So it's given me the opportunity to teach and to train and to tell them, yes, you can be whatever you want to be. You just have to keep grabbing for it and going after it.
You're absolutely right. That's the whole purpose of us doing these videos. Let's talk success. We want to be able to show women of all ages, in all different types of industries, that it is possible for them to do it, and be able to do it, like you, in a short 5 years, and just what things need to happen and not happen, how they can just still smile and look as beautiful and comfortable as you do at the end of that road.
Thank you.
So, secrets to success. What are some of the things that either if you were to do it over again, you would definitely implement, or things that you would not do again, or just things that you feel that anyone who wants to be successful has to have and maintain?
Well, I think you have to have a goal and a passion and something that makes you really want to get out of bed and go do. And not necessarily did I want to be an electrical contractor, but I've always wanted to own my own business. I started out selling jewelry, selling insurance, making jewelry. I was even a wedding consultant for a while. It's a crazy job. But I think all boiled down to the fact that I wanted to run my own business. I wanted to run my own life. And so I had a goal, and yeah, it took me a long time to get there, but I never quit. You know, I always wanted it. And so it's a big deal to find out what it is you want and go for it. And it might not be something that's going to make you incredibly rich. This hasn't really made us rich, but what it's done is it's enriched our lives. It's allowed me to give opportunities to electricians who weren't working, give jobs to people who were underemployed, to light up some of the buildings in the city of Detroit. You know, it's just, that is, for me, what makes me passionate about it and keep things running, and given me the opportunity to train some young girls and help them to see that they can do these kinds of things. So it's to keep striving and overcoming any obstacle you have, because you can get where you want to be. And then you go on, you know? then you get new goals, and you do something else, you know.
That's great. So what's your empowering thought you want to leave on business with today?
Don't give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever think that you can't do something, because it's surprising what you can do, and it's worth it when you get there.
Thank you.